Here we are. Here we are. Here we are. Back at Pegan Hill. I guess it's fair to say that up until now in my life, I have been living pretty much on autopilot. Maybe on autopilot some of the times, and maybe just in a reactionary way the rest of the time when I was a younger man. But either way, for the past decade or so, I have been slowly waking up. It's been amazing. It's been painful at times. It's been exciting at times. It's been all sorts of things. If that's a road you're walking, I'm sure you get it. And it's landed me in a spot of real beauty, and I was going to say real awareness, but I'll just go with more awareness. Lately, that awareness has led me to the observation of this feeling that the life that I want to lead, the life that I have held within me for most of my life, if not all of my certainly adult life, and the life that I'm leading now are just not in alignment. And I get that that's the case for most humans walking the planet. I get that's the case for most of us. But it doesn't mean that it's not worth pursuing, right? So lately I've been asking myself this question about this feeling of this misalignment of my life. And that question is, can I radically change my life over the next decade? If the past decade has been spent slowly waking up, can the next decade be steered towards this realignment? I work in technology as an IT consultant, but I've spent, the majority of my life at this point also pursuing the arts. In my heart, I'm an artist. So where do I want to head in the next 10 years? How do I want to shift my life, and what does that look like? I'd like to have enough money in retirement so that at 64, 65, I can retire from the IT industry, if I'm not forced out of it by the technology in the meantime, and live out the rest of my life as an artist and a contemplative. I'd like to own a home. And I'd like that home to be somewhere that gives me direct access to nature, the type of nature that inspires me, personally and creatively. I'd like that home to have enough space to share it with the people I love. I'd like it to also have some outdoor space for Seymour. Seymour's my dog that, if you haven't met him already before this video, you probably will. He's a story in and of himself. I'd like to leave something to my daughter. And I don't mean leave something like money and property, although that would be really nice. I'd love to do that for her. Leave her with the experience of a loving, close relationship with her father, and the knowing that her father lived out the second act of his life with presence and compassion and grace. This part of my life, if we're putting it in like story, movie context, this is the midpoint. This is where everything changes. And when I think about making this change, it's daunting. It's scary. The feeling that I often compare it to, although I can't compare this like in realistic terms because I'm going to use a skydiving analogy and I've never been skydiving, but it's what I imagine. So I imagine you're going skydiving, you've never done it before, you're in the plane and you're almost at altitude, and your skydiving coach or whatever they call those people, in just a matter of minutes or seconds that the countdown's going to begin, and that instructor is going to get to zero, and just nudge you out that door and you're going to have no choice but to free fall. And you're going to have very little control. That's what taking this step feels like. It's stepping out of the plane and free falling with very little control. And that's scary. Because as I said, I think I've been living my life mostly on autopilot. And autopilot's not going to get me there. So, I'm doing this. Another piece of this is that for that past decade, I have made countless, and I mean countless, attempts to create content that's meaningful to me. This could be a really great way to create this framing for this journey, some accountability, and a mirror I can look in, because something I've discovered is that shooting video of yourself is just a really great contemplative tool. It's a great way of looking at yourself from a point of view you don't get in other ways. Am I headed in the right direction? What am I doing? Did I screw up? How do I recalibrate? And maybe even find a community, which would be nice too. So yeah, if you get what I'm saying, feel free to join me, because this could be the beginning.